Okay, this is going to be the video on volume and surface area of triangular prisms, to be specific. So let's make sure you have your guided notes to follow along, and let's see if you can keep up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is note the formula for a triangular prism. So basically all you're going to do is you're going to note what type of base this has. Okay, so sometimes the prism can be sitting on its side, but right now it's actually sitting on the base. The base is a triangle. Okay, so all we're going to do is find the area of that triangle, okay, and then multiply by the height of the prism itself. Okay, so if you remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 its base times its height. Okay, so all we're going to do that is take that and then multiply it by the height of the prism. So go ahead and write this down in your notes. So all this then is going to equal the volume of the prism. Okay? So when you see this, that big B stands for the area of the base. So write the formula. So in this case, it's going to be, big B is going to be the area of the triangle, and then of course the height of the prism. So identify the parts. Well, we've got the base of the triangle. So the base of the triangle, that's going to be this right here. Okay? Or the two, you know, it doesn't matter. But that's going to be 6 centimeters. And then the height of the triangle is going to be this, because when they come together, they form that right triangle. Okay? So times 2. And then finally, the height of the actual prism, that's going to be your 7. Okay, so when we multiply all of these, we've got 6 times 2, which is 12. Half of 12 is 6. And finally, 6 times 7 is 42. So remember that volume is in cubic units. So the volume here is going to be 42 centimeters cubed. Alright, let's just find the volume for each of these prisms. The first thing we're going to do is write down the formula. Big B times H, volume equals big B times H. So the big B stands for the area of its base, which is 1/2 base times height. The area of this object is going to be, again, 1/2 base times height. Alright, now let's identify the parts. So for number 2, or 2A, you have the base of the triangle as 6.5. You have the height of the triangle as 8 inches. Okay, and then obviously the 15 inches is the height of the prism. In 2B, you have the base of the triangle as 6.5 millimeters, the height of the triangle as 7 millimeters, and then the height of the prism as 5.2 millimeters. Now, there's only 3 numbers here, which is easily, you can easily tell what the numbers are, but it's not going to be that way on future tests. You're going to have more numbers to try and pick from, so it's better that you get it now, so hopefully, because it will get harder, eventually. Alright, so let's go ahead and substitute what we know. So we've got 1/2 times the base, which is 6.5, times 8, times the height of the prism. Okay, go ahead and multiply all those straight across on your calculator. The answer here is 390 inches cubed. Okay, 2B. so let's substitute. Got 1/2 times 6.5 times 7 times 5.2. Go ahead and multiply all those. You get 118.3, and this is millimeters cubed. Okay, let's move on. Okay, for the next several problems, we're going to do surface area and volume. So it's going to go play pretty quickly. But first off, I want you to add the measurements in that I didn't add on your paper yet. So the 6 yards, okay, are your dimensions for your triangle. So all the edges of your triangle is 6. And then on the second one, all of the edges of your triangle are 8. So, okay, you need those measurements in order to determine surface area. All right, so let's get started. First off, let's find volume. So pause your video, go ahead and write down the formula for volume, find volume, and then push play when you're ready for the answer and to move on for surface area. Okay, so go ahead and check your volume. It's in red. And then the next thing I'm going to explain to you is surface area. So if you think, what I did in the middle there is I drew the net. It's called a net of a prism. So what I did is I treated it like a box, you know, pretty much, and you unfold it. So this is what it would look like if you were to unfold it. You've got your 2 triangles, which make your 2 bases. But if you notice, there's rectangles that attach from each edge of that triangle, okay, because it's what attaching it to the next triangle. So instead of finding the area of each one of those pieces and then adding them all up, okay, like we did for the rectangular prism, there's actually a simple formula to it. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the area of both the bases, okay, so that's the area of 1 times 2, and then you're going to take the perimeter of the triangle, okay, and then multiply it to the height of the prism, and then finally add those 2 results together. So I did the first one for you. So I found the area of one of the bases, okay, to be 9. So then both ends would be 18 put together. So that's just the area. Then the perimeter of one triangle is 6 plus 6 plus 6, okay, which is 18. And then I multiplied that times the height of the prism, which is 10. So that gave us 180. I'm going to add those 2 numbers together, so then the total surface area is going to be 198 yards squared. I know it's kind of a little much to wrap your head around right now, but you'll get used to it, trust me. It's a lot faster and a lot simpler to just use this technique for these type of prisms instead of doing it piece by piece. It goes a lot quicker. So let's try this next one together. So we've got the area of both ends. So we've got area equals base times height, half base times height. So that's 1/2 times 8 times 6.9. So half of 8 is 4. 4 times 6.9, that will get you 27.6, and that's feet squared. Okay, so now that's part 1. Part 2, you're going to take the perimeter of the triangle. So that's 8 plus 8 plus 8. So that's 24. Okay, then multiply it to the height of the prism, which is 10. So it's 240. Okay, now add these 2 together. So 240 plus 27.6. So you get a total surface area of 267.6 feet squared. And because it's area, your answer is in squared units. Okay, let's get some more practice. Alright, so go ahead and before you get started, make sure you take note of the diagonal on the prism to the right mark it in 5 inches, because the 3 and the 4 were given to you. I forgot to mark on your paper the 5 inches. So write that in. Then pause your video, find the volume of both of these, and then push play to resume. We'll take care of surface area together. Okay, check your answers for volume. If you didn't get the first one right, that's because you have to pay attention to where that little 90-degree angle is. Your 90-degree angle attaches the base with the height. So the base would be the 12 and the height would be the 5. The 13, okay, is the line segment, okay, that's across from the 90-degree angle, so therefore 13 feet is the diagonal edge of the, it's just upside down. Okay, so it takes some practice and getting used to seeing that type of object. Let's go ahead and find surface area for the first one. So first let's find the area of of both triangles. So we've got area equals 1/2 times the base, which is 12, times the height, which is 5. So 1/2 of 12 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. But multiply that by 2, and you get, you get 60 feet squared. Now, let's find the perimeter of the triangle, which is going to be 12 plus 13 plus 5. Okay, that is 30. And then multiply that by the height of the prism, which is 15. That gets you 450 feet squared. Now you just add them together, so total surface area is going to be 450 plus the 60, which is 510 feet squared. That's your total surface area. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So first we're going to find the area of both triangles. So 1/2 the base, which is, the base is 4, and the height is 3. So 1/2 of 4 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. But since there's 2 triangles, we've got 12 inches squared. Okay, now perimeter. So that's going to be 5 plus 4 plus 3, which is 12, and then take 12 times 9, when 9 is the height of the prism. That gives us 108 inches squared. Now add those two together to get your total surface area, and you get a total of 120 inches squared for surface area. Okay, so I know these problems are specifically asking you to for surface area, but I want you to find the volume and surface area, and then pay attention to the first question, because it asks you to determine how many quarts of paint it will cover it once you determine the surface area. Okay, so pause your video, try to answer these 2 questions on your own, and then press play to get your answers. Okay, go ahead and pause your video and get the answers, correct your mistakes. However, before you push pause, for the first one, all you got to do is set up your proportion. Since it talks about how much paint covers the square footage, that deals with the surface area. It doesn't talk about filling it up. So that's why you would use the answer from your surface area to set up your proportion, like I did and show you on the video. If you have any questions, just let me know.